welcome back to the Coach's Hour. And you're here with myself, him, and as always, my co-host, Jawade Graham. So before we start this part of the podcast where we ask you to drop a like, leave us a little review, subscribe, and tell your mum about this podcast. Why? Because we give this stuff away for free. And the podcast gods basically say that 5-star means credibility, and perhaps some other shit that I'm not really too sure about. So if you enjoy it, please do any of those things. With that out of the way, today's episode is about burnout, why it happens, when it happens, and what you can do about it. Burnout is one of those very funny things where you hear people with, really big, important jobs, they have it. You picture maybe an investment banker out of like Wolf of Wall Street, or a single parent with 5 kids and 3 jobs. So when you're in the gym training clients or at home doing some program design check-ins on your laptop, perhaps you might feel embarrassed to say that you feel burnt out. It's not like you're doing anything intense. So that's what we're going to be speaking about. So should coaches feel this burnout?
Have you ever been burnt out?
Yeah, I think so. I feel a little bit burnt out when I initially left UP, and also when I got stung by Steve McGrath.
those cold DMs finished you up.
Yeah, I just felt, when you start something and you have a lot of promise. I guess this is probably what clients feel, right? You start something, you feel like there's a lot of promise, and then it's kind of not what it turns out to be. And then like you feel like, oh, I fucking invested loads of money into this. And you've also invested like effort and time, right? And it's just not really worked out.
So is that burnout or stress with the situation?
I guess I'd say probably, a little bit of both. Because I've got here, so I read this book, and they were talking about burnout, right? So you've got kind of 3 different definitions of burnout. So you've got overexertion burnout, which is where you're taking on kind of too much shit. You've got depletion burnout. So this is where maybe you've not given yourself enough time off, or even little breaks in the day, or maybe longer holidays to recharge, right? And then you've got misalignment burnout, which is where you're putting in effort into things that don't bring you joy and meaning, and that kind of wears you down over time, right? But I guess, burnout overall, I would say, is probably like maybe could be 1 or 2 of those kind of things. But I think for me, why I feel like it was a little bit burnout was because I did feel a bit, I'll say overwhelmed and a little bit unmotivated. When you put a lot of effort into it, but it's not come to fruition. So then you feel like you can't keep up the pace no matter like how hard you're trying. Right?
Yeah. And then was that the same as UP, or was it different?
Yeah, UP, I felt like I'd put in so much effort into the job, and it was like, we will speak about this is my dream job. This is where I thought I'd be forever. And when you leave, it kind of leaves you a little bit lost and a bit like resentful, where it's like, oh, I put so much into this, business or whatever. It wasn't your business, but it kind of, makes you feel that way, where you're like, oh shit, I put in a lot of effort and I've got nothing out of it, basically.
And how did you deal with it then? So like, either if you dealt with both situations the same, then share with us how, but if it was a little bit different, then how did you deal with UP and then the return of the McGrath?
I think UP was just, both times I was just focusing on myself a bit. Like, not necessarily anything to do with like business, but like having something there that I could put all that effort that I had that was pent up into something else. So when I left UP, that's when I started doing bodybuilding. So I jumped over to bodybuilding with Steve McGrath. I don't know what it was actually. Probably still suffering from it a little bit.
That's why you started BJJ.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I think that's why, with Steve, it was, it took quite a long time, if I'm honest, to kind of almost recover from it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because like I get so many messages of people, like when I don't mention people by name, slightly do sometimes now, but I get so many messages of people that, again, are recovering from these types of things for a while. And I didn't realize that there were 3 different types of burnout according to the reads, but it's like, it does actually make sense and it's really interesting. And for you, like, what do you put in place now to try and prevent that from happening in the future? Do you have anything specific that you do, or are you just more aware of it?
I think obviously with each one they have slightly different things. So like if we're looking at overexertion, that's a really difficult one, because that's when you almost feel like, because it's your business right now, you don't want to offload any work because you feel like, whether it's ego, you feel like, I do it best. That like hiring an editor was pretty difficult, initially, because I felt I could edit really well. I'm the best at it, kind of thing. But you need to realize that actually, you just need to outsource, and you can't take everything on yourself. That's still something that, slowly trying to work myself around. Mine's more so like a money saving thing as well, where I feel like, I could do this myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like I've had my frame broken a few times, and when I say my frame, like my viewpoint of how things should be completely shifted. And one of the things is I can do it myself, and you probably can. But for me, it's like, let's say you charge £50 an hour and you can get someone to edit for £20 per hour. You do a task or a job or a session that gets you £50, which then frees up or give the editor an hour's worth of work. You'll net up £30 because that's money that you wouldn't have had if you were doing a task that you could have offloaded. And for me, that was like, if I can earn more doing the thing I love doing, and obviously I know you enjoy editing as well, but if I can do more doing the thing I love doing and offset for cheaper than the thing I do to somebody else, what I don't like doing, that's a win-win in my eyes. And it's like, it took me a long while to start understanding that. And it's like, as you said, we can't do everything as PTs. We think we can. We do wear loads of hats. But I'm not the best editor. I'm not the best content creator. I'm not the best person that can design stuff. So go and get someone that is the best at that. And if you have to pay a handsome price for it, that's fine, because overall it will build your brand. It will enhance your credibility and your reputation. But I think it's a stumbling block for a lot of PTs. And also, we have a problem with boundaries. Like, we don't like saying no to things. So when someone asks, can we do whatever it is, a client question comes up when you're in the middle of editing content, you will drop the editing content, answer your client question, and that will leave you with an hour to make up on the back end of the day because you've still got to edit. And it's like, when we're wearing so many hats, we can't afford to not have boundaries in place to allow us to operate at the rate that we do.
And then that kind of flows into that misalignment burnout, where you feel like you're putting in effort into things which don't bring you joy and meaning, right? So let's say, for example, I don't know if you hate editing, but you might not necessarily like it that much, right? Then you feel like, at the end of the day, you're like, shit, I've got to edit this stupid bit of content.
Yeah.
And that burns you out over time, right? Because every day you feel like you're doing, or every week, at least multiple times a day, you feel like you're doing that. You resent that process a bit more. You start to resent parts of your business, right?
100%. And literally for a few weeks before Christmas, I've had to reframe my view of content. And I wouldn't say I enjoy it now. And like, if people follow me on social media, you'll see I post all the time. And I'm able to do that now because I've reframed my enjoyment, and I've refined the process, and I've created boundaries for myself. So like I say always, like, I like the way you edit your videos. I could never do that because it would take me so long to edit one video, whereas you're a little bit more adept at doing that. You can do it quicker. You enjoy doing it. My videos are very basically edited. And that's my contract to myself, to set a boundary that allows me to then pump out more content. I'm sitting here today because this allows me to get more content, and I'm not going to edit this. I'll pay someone to edit a clip if I find something that's really good. If not, we're still having a conversation and some long form content. This is part of my boundaries that I create to allow me to do the things that I don't enjoy as much, but then it frees up time elsewhere to do the things that I love doing, because this is a necessary part of our business, like it or not. Unless we work for a brand, we have to do some stuff that we don't like doing.
For sure, man. I think the most common kind of burnout that a lot of us face is, we spoke about in previous podcasts, is just overexertion, right? Where we just don't take enough time off. And I think that's it's very, very common in the fitness industry, where like people may be working, you're working Monday, almost 7 days, 6-7 days a week, right? I don't think I know that many PTs that only work 5 days a week, right? At very least 6. And those people who are trying to do sessions, sometimes 7. You're not working, they're not, yes, 7 days a week, but you're not working full 7 days, but you're also not off.
Yeah.
And
there's a big difference there, isn't there?
I think that over time, you always feel like, I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. I can't do this on the weekend because, I've got to work.
And a lot of PTs won't realise that. So they'll say they have time off, but they've done 2 sessions that day or 3 sessions that day. And yes, you might have the afternoon off or the evening off, but how long does it take you to switch off and go from being a PT to being a dad or living a normal life? Like, very rarely is it just click your fingers and you're able to just take that hat off and put that hat on. It takes a little bit of time, and a lot of people don't realise it, and it just creeps upon you. And before you know it, it's like, oh shit, I'm burnt out. I don't actually enjoy PTing anymore. And it's not the PTing that you don't enjoy.
It's how you run it.
It's how, and it's the boundaries and the overexertion. And I think a hidden one that I'm guilty of it, a lot of PTs are guilty of it, is procrastination and doom scrolling. And people probably think, oh, that's not burnout. But I believe it leads to burnout because I've had a task, like I'm going to edit some content. I do all my editing on my phone. Open my app. Before I know it, let me just respond to this DM. 5 minutes later, I'm doom scrolling on some idiot's post. 10 minutes later, I'm back to editing. Oh no, I've got a WhatsApp message through because I'm editing on my phone. Oh, okay, cool. Let me answer this message. An hour goes by and I haven't started editing. Bearing in mind, it's a task that I don't enjoy doing anyway. Of course, I'm going to put it to the bottom of the pile at some point. And the reason that leads to burnout is because that task hasn't gone away. So when I'm knackered at the end of the day and I've got a post tomorrow, I then have to do that editing when I don't want to and I'm tired. And then I lose some sleep, and then that happens daily. And then eventually I burn out. So the doom scrolling / procrastination isn't the burnout, but it's a component of leading to burnout, in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure every PT has.
I think everyone.
Everyone full stop has doom scrolled and is currently doom scrolling right now. It's crazy.
And I think part of that comparison as well, when you have a task to do, and then you're looking and you're like, shit, this is a good post. This is a good post. And you're like, man's shit.
And have you ever done the one where you're researching? So I'm on Instagram researching ideas for content, and then you never get one idea because you're just doom scrolling. And it's like, okay, let me just put that. And the reason why I'm easily distracted is because it's something I'm not enjoying doing. So I'll do anything apart from this task. When there's something that I enjoy doing, I'm not on my phone. I'm nowhere near my phone. But when it's something I don't enjoy doing, it's like, okay, I'll do this instead. I'll research.
I'll clean the house.
It's crazy. So I think for me, that's like a big under talked about, we'll say, part of burnout.
And I guess, that flows into that misalignment as well, right? Where, you're putting in effort into things that you simply just don't enjoy or see meaning to doing it, right? You have to do it, but it's like, it's not a task that I want to do.
Yeah, and I think, because as you grow a business as a PT, I think you should offload everything that you don't like doing at some point, or the aim should be. So I'm a gym floor PT. I love doing sessions, but I've got to do accounting. I've got to create content. I've got to edit. I've got to, whatever it may be, I've got to answer emails. The first thing I'm going to do, rather than hire another coach, is hire someone to do the stuff that I don't like doing, because a lot of people will hire another coach that takes away from the job they love doing. And then they'll go and do more of the stuff they don't like doing. They'll go and answer more emails while this coach takes care of their clients.
Do more
and they'll go
sales
and do more.
calls.
Yeah, they'll go and do more sales calls, and they'll go and do more content creation. And it's like, you're doing it backwards, mate. If you like being on the gym floor, you stay on the gym floor and you hire someone to do your sales calls for you. You hire someone to answer your emails and do...
To help you edit.
Yes, you hire an editor, you hire a content person, you hire whoever else it needs to be, and you just focus on maximizing your hourly rate as a personal trainer, doing as many sessions as you can while taking rests. And then once you're maximized with that as well, then you hire another coach, or you take some time, or you raise your prices, whatever it is. But I think that misalignment stuff comes from, and I think part of it is we get bad advice in the industry. Like, a lot of mentors out there will say, oh yeah, you're full, hire another coach. And it's like, I love coaching. What if I don't want to? No, hire another coach. And it's like, okay, there's no one else I can hire. And it's like, no, hire another coach. When there's all of these other options that you can do to keep yourself fulfilled by doing the thing that you love doing. If you don't like coaching, that's fine. Then hire another coach first, then do something else.
I think you're in trouble if you don't like coaching and you're in the coaching industry, like fitness industry. Like,
you'd be surprised by how many coaches are out here and again, it's because it's seen as an easy living. Like, it's advertised, and especially with the online world, it's advertised as, come and be an online coach. You'll get 10K months and beaches and martinis, whatever it is. And the reality is, when people get here, it's a lot harder than people think it is to build a successful business that everyone looks up to. And again, that leads into misalignment and burnout, and then leaving the industry and going back to your 9 to 5, which then burns you out because you misalign there too. I think there's a whole host of things going on, but how would you navigate all that then? So like, if you were advising a PT that is on the verge of burnout, or is maybe in the industry for the wrong reasons, how would you advise, well, maybe not for the wrong reasons, because just get out, but let's say someone that is a PT on the gym floor, feeling like they're heading towards burnout, what advice would you give?
I think we need to figure out what type of burnout, like we mentioned, right, there's kind of a few, like what type of burnout are you kind of facing, first of all? Like, is it something that could just be...
So let's say misalignment then to begin with.
Okay. So is it that they just don't enjoy doing the job? Like coaching people on the gym floor? Is that the misalignment?
So should we give it like a case study then? Like a little...
just give it
okay,
a
cool. So
demo.
so use me. I'm a PT. I'm on the gym floor and I'm near enough fully booked. So I'm doing 20 sessions a week. I've got room for maybe 5 more. But I want to also transition to online coaching as well, just to give me a little bit more security of my income. And I now need to focus on creating content, editing content, as well as managing my sessions and looking for people still to take in on the gym floor as well. What advice would you give me if I feel like I'm heading towards burnout? And I don't really like the content side of stuff.
Yeah. I think figuring out how you can do the tasks that you don't like easier. So I've seen this actually a few times on Instagram, like maybe if you need content, maybe it's just filming your sessions that you're doing already anyway. Ask your client, hey, is it all right if we film something? I need to, and probably they feel all right with it, right? And that might be something that just, hey, like I've just recorded some content, but I'm working. So you just killed 2 birds, 1 stone, right?
And that's interesting because 90% of my content comes from my clients. Like, they don't ever feature in it, because I'm online now, but the things that we speak about on our calls, on our check-ins, 90% of my content, it makes it so much easier. Like, I don't struggle for content ideas at this moment in time because all my content comes from my clients. And sometimes it's just holding the camera up. I'm just going to talk about a client case study or something. Sometimes I'm in the gym going through a scenario, but making it a little bit more engaging for Instagram. But it's a lot easier, as you said, I've literally done that. I've made it as frictionless as possible for me to do the things that I don't like doing, i.e. creating content. There's very little friction there because I just do my day-to-day stuff and I just record it now. Yeah.
And I think one of the things I've been trying to do as well to make it even easier is like, once you get that idea, just do it. Rather than like I used to do this all the time. It's just, and I probably still do it. Is I think of the idea if I'm doom scrolling or if I'm speaking to a client, I'll write it down, and then I won't hit record or I won't do it, and then it's like all saved up, and then you start second guessing. You go, oh, was it good? And you lose that passion that you could have like had for that video. And I think it's important to strike when the iron's hot almost.
That is a really good point, because I've noticed that as well. And like especially when you go on a rant or when you have an opinion. So like I'll see something and it'll piss me off or not, but I'll have an opinion on it. And if I haven't recorded it when I'm heated, or when I say heated, I'm not angry or effing and blinding, but if I don't record it right then,
pumped.
Yeah, I'll come back to it tomorrow and I'm like, oh, I don't even care about that anymore.
Yeah.
But at the time, it would have been a great piece of content. So what I do now is I record it and just don't edit it, and I'll just leave it recorded for however long it is until I get around to editing it. So that's a really good.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You just do it all in one shot.
Well, I can do, but as long as it's recorded, I'm like, okay, cool. And again, because I don't like editing, in my schedule, it's down in my schedule.
You can give it to someone else as well.
Well, yeah. So I just record it and leave it.
That's good. Yeah. I think, trying to stack things, I think it would be the easiest thing, because I think a lot of people would probably be like, oh, just hire a videographer and just record and spend a day. If you don't enjoy content creation, probably not, and you do hours on the PT, like you're busy, probably the best thing to do is find ways to create content easier, like less friction. Like, what are you already doing that you can just double up on?
Yeah. And I think it's getting your priorities straight as well, because like there is a limited amount of hours in the day. So like in that scenario that I said just a moment ago, doing 20 sessions a week, got room for 5 more, and I want to go online. So if I want to go online, I would probably need to at some point reduce those hours. And I would do it with a plan to say like, because obviously reduced hours is reduced income, but if it's planned, it's okay. I'm going to reduce 5 sessions, which gives me an extra 10 hours. So rather than doing 25, I'm doing 15. And in that 10 hours, I can do the stuff I need to do to develop online. Or I will go the other way and I'll do 25 sessions and I will pay someone to help me with the editing stuff, because I'm earning 5 more sessions of time, money to invest into something else. Either way, it's an investment of time, finances, or resources. And I think a lot of coaches don't accept it because there's no clarity on where they're heading and what the priority is. So I believe like to help with burnout, you need to prioritize. I think it's very difficult if you're on a gym floor and you're online to do both. Like you can be hybrid, but like, and that's fine as well. But if you're trying to grow both at the same time, it's very difficult. What I recommend is you get one established, get the systems in place to keep that established, and then focus on the other one. Yeah. And like, because a lot of PTs will try and do both. They've got 0 clients on the gym floor, but because they're on Instagram all the time, they're watching what everyone else is doing online, and they'll try and go online too. And it's like, you're not going to be good at creating content because you're creating from a place of panic. You don't have any experience because you've got no clients. You're not relatable because you're not dealing with any clients. So you don't relate to anyone else that will have the same issue. And it's like a never-ending cycle of despair.
So do you think they should be creating content for clients in person then?
Say that again?
So like, do you think they should be like creating content for in-person clients? So like, rather than marketing it to be like, sign up for my online thing, they should be, the problems and the pain points should be about in-person PT.
Yeah, because people are people, right? Like before COVID, there wasn't really online coaching. So if we were creating content, it would be around the people that you're speaking to on the gym floor, which would be like, what problems do they have? Want to lose a little bit of weight, stressful work, family, kids. In the online world, what problems do they have? Want to lose a little bit of weight, stressful. Like it's the same thing. It's just a different modality that you're going to be delivering to get them the result. In person, they'll come and see you. Online, they'll have an online check-in or whatever you do there. You're speaking to the same people. And I find that like I've spoken to a couple of my clients that are now trying to transition to online. And like before they get there, I'm like, just start documenting online now, not with the goal of getting any clients because you're still doing the gym floor stuff. But the problems you face with your gym floor clients, just speak about them, because people, like the people that you want to relate to it will. And I've had a couple of clients that I recently have started doing that. And it's literally because I said to them, when you get out of a session, I don't care what it is, just pick your phone up and record something about that session. Did it, client signed up online straight away. No, it was an in-person client, but they come from online. And it was like, it's not rocket science. It's human psychology.
Yeah, and even like we're talking about training your client, but even when you train, just document your own journey, right? Like I'm in the gym. That's how I started with posting content. It was like, what was I doing? You know, I'm training in the gym. Maybe you do a little voiceover about, oh, you know, this is my training program. This is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. You just document what you're doing, whether you're eating your food, your meals, whatever. I guess these are kind of like simple ways that allows you to create content. You probably train anyway. When you're training, you probably film your sets, or if you're not, then maybe you should start. And then that helps you double up on things, right? It makes it a lot easier for you to just create that content because you got it there. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I created my exercise library. It was just exercises that I did. And then when I visit a gym, I'm always going to try a new piece of equipment, right? So then when I'm in that realm of trying a new piece, I'm just going to record a set and then upload it onto YouTube. And there you go. That's my exercise library. It's not like I sit there for hours recording like some sort of speaking over it. It's like, this is kind of what the exercise looks like. And then when I come and I put it into the thing, so then when the client does it and they send me a video, then that's where the coaching comes in, right? It's not, oh, I need to sit there and watch a 10-minute video every time I do a new exercise because I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. And I think like as you were speaking, I think to give people a takeaway point, it's repurposing tasks. And we can go from going to a gym to train to creating your exercise library. That's two birds with one stone. When you're training your clients, if you then speak about it afterwards and create some content, that's two birds with one stone. I think it helps with managing your schedule if you can have a task that then leads into another task that doesn't take any work to do, because when you've recorded in the gym, you've trained, you've gone somewhere to train, which you enjoy doing. You've put it on Instagram, which is a piece of content within itself, and you've got a video for your exercise library, which is another huge part of the coaching process taken care of. When you have a client, you're doing your job, you create, you speak about a problem someone's had, that's a piece of content, and then you've got a bank of experience of how you dealt with that scenario for someone else later down the line. And again, it's just like repurposing stuff. So I think that might be a nice way to wrap all those concepts we've spoken about together. And just before we wrap up, because I'm not sure what we've got left to speak about, I want to speak about managing your schedule and your diary and having boundaries, because I still have no boundaries saying this as well, but I am learning. Like, it's okay as a PT to have boundaries and not answer a client message at 10 o'clock at night, not answer a client message on a Saturday and a Sunday. And I think the main way it's okay is if you communicate that from the outset. And again, it just comes back to managing expectations. If you don't say that and your client messages you and you don't respond for 2 days, they might get pissed off, rightly so. If you say my contact hours on a Monday to Friday are 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Outside of those hours, I might respond, but please don't be offended if I don't, because I don't have my phone on me there. Weekends, I'm unavailable. Again, it's just setting boundaries. Having boundaries for sessions, because a lot of times when people are in control of their diaries, a client will message them, can you squeeze me in today at 4 p.m? You're like, oh, I've got 4 p.m. free, I may as well. Or can you squeeze me in at 8 p.m? Oh, I was going to go home, but yeah, I may as well. Or can you squeeze me in at 2 p.m? I was going to train, but I may as well. And it's like, when we jump around for our clients, it means that we are in control of our diaries, and that's one way ticket to burnout. So, and I think that comes back to confidence. Everything comes back to confidence and experience. But being accountable for yourself and setting boundaries with yourself and with your clients is really, really important when it comes to burnout.
It's just having a rule, right? So like even for me, like when I was doing PT and I came back from Singapore, I just set like a hard rule, like obviously from my experience at UP, and I was like sometimes doing like so many sessions back to back. I just said, look, my limit I know is probably 4 hours tops back to back. I'm not going to take anyone after, like, doesn't matter. So, but usually it's like I'm going to do 3 sessions and I'm going to have a little break, right? And that was kind of my routine. If people wanted, if I had like 3 and a 3, And if someone wanted to change, like in juggle, I'm probably going to say no. And that was my rule. Is that I said no to those kind of people that wanted to do that. You know, could you have said yes? And then are there occasions where you do say yes, but you instantly regret it when you realize, actually, you know, I've got 3 in a 3, that's 6 sessions, right? Once I split that gap, all of a sudden I'm fucking doing 7 back to back.
And that is not nice.
And you're fucked.
Yeah.
And that fucks you up for several days, right? And I think that's the real big thing is like, yeah, like you said, setting those rules to say like, I'm never going to do that because it's so important. Otherwise, that's when you start resenting your clients. That's when you start disliking your job. That's when you feel burnt out, right? But sometimes, yeah, it's the way that you execute it. And it's just saying no, you know?
Definitely. So the takeaway from that is just plan your weeks or have your schedule and stick to it. And that includes downtime as well, because in the past, I didn't schedule in downtime. Like, you know, when you have your diary set out and it's like, oh, I've got sessions here to here, then I've got more sessions here to here, and then it's just a big gap in the evening. And because there's a gap there, I'm more likely to fill it with work or something else. But now I'll schedule in do not work. And it says do not work in my calendar.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about today?
That's it.
Is that a wrap?
Burnout.
Is that our one? Is that a wrap? Is that how we get in the pods now? Is that a wrap?
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right. So hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, you can find me on socials at Gym With Him. I'm my co-host. As always, Jawade is at Jawade Graham Coach.
That's a wrap.